everyone, a very good evening and a very warm welcome to the session of today's class, which is on marginalization of Adivasis. So let's get started with me, Ankana, your expert for social sciences at Embibe. Hi Kushagra, good evening, welcome to the session. So guys, as you can see, I specialize in social sciences and I also specialize in English because I come from the background of humanities and I've been associated with the world of education for more than 9 years now, where I've had the wonderful opportunity to teach lots of students of CBSE and ICSE, both online and offline. Thank you so much, Kushagra, very sweet of you. Now talking about this session, you guys, understanding marginalization is the chapter which is basically divided in two major categories. We have marginalization of Adivasis and then the marginalization of minorities. Today we'll be focusing on the marginalization of Adivasis. The concepts that we'll be covering is going to be the following. We'll talk about what do you mean by marginalization, what is it is for a group of societies who are Adivasis, what is their population, their communities, their organization, ritual, practices, languages, how we have created a certain stereotyping against them, what were the issues that they have dealt with, how their lands were encroached, which has created their life a little difficult. All of that we will be discussing in today's session. So let's get started. Raja Ram Mohan Roy, E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, Jyotiba Phule, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Who are these individuals? Kaun hai ye log? These individuals, guys, you may have heard one or the other story about them. कुछ ना कुछ शायद आपने कहीं ना कहीं सुना होगा, right? Hi, Jay Blessy. Meaning of marginalization, बच्चे, that's what I said. We'll be understanding that in today's session. अभी सबसे पहले चीज़ हम marginalization का मतलब ही समझेंगे, ठीक है? So guys, we have heard Dr. B.R. Ambedkar fighting for some people, right? People who were suppressed. Same Raja Ram Mohan Roy, same for Jyotiba Phule. सब के बारे में कुछ ना कुछ हमने सुना है because these are the people who have worked in the society to improve the lives of those who were different or treated different or were discriminated against because of their caste or they were because of their outcast status. तो ये वो लोग हैं जिनको सोसाइटी का एक पॉजिटिव तरीके से हिस्सा नहीं बनाया गया है, साइडलाइन कर दिया गया है, डिस्क्रिमिनेट किया गया है, मैल ट्रीट किया गया है, उन्हें पुश कर दिया गया है टुवर्ड्स द मार्जिन ऑफ द सोसाइटी, आउटसाइड द सोसाइटी. दे आर नॉट इंक्लूडेड एज द मेन पार्ट ऑफ द सोसाइटी, राइट? And or have been detached, have been snatched away, the opportunities have been snatched away from them, equal treatment have not been given to them, right? This impression is referred to as marginalization. इसे ही marginalization कहते हैं, ठीक है? Jay Blessy, do you understand? But what exactly it is and how is it caused, why is it caused, that we are going to find in today's session. So let's get started. Very first thing, what is marginalization? बच्चे, when you use a notebook, do you see that there's a margin on the side of your notebook, right? एक margin होता है, उसमें क्या होता है? Some different notes which is not a part of your regular notes, you write or you maybe do the numbering. It's like a corner of your entire page, right? So margin वही होता है. Margin is basically corners, sides of something. So when you take a certain group of people, ठीक है, based on their social identity, it could be their gender, it could be their region they come from, the language that they speak, the culture they follow, the religion they follow, the caste they belong to. India mein caste system is also there, right? So you take their social identity and based on that social identity they have, you decide how to treat them. The kind of treatment that you're going to give to them is basically based on their social qualification, social identity, and which determines that how will they be treated, and then you take away some opportunities, you ill-treat them or maybe you discriminate against them and push them towards the corner of the society where they're not a part of the main society. This process is known as marginalization. This process is known as sidelining them. किसी को आप जो है उसकी social identity के basis पे बाकी चीज़ों का हिस्सा मत बनने दो, discriminate कर दो, society के side में निकाल दो, इसको marginalization कहते हैं. It basically means being pushed to the sidelines and excluded from the center of things. It basically in a social setting, in a society happens when certain groups are excluded. So social context mein what do you mean? when they are not made a part of the entire society, right, but they are removed from the society, they're sidelined from the society, isko marginalization of that group kaha jayega. It can be based on, as I told you, race, ethnicity, gender, socio-economic status, what is the amount of money that they have. It can be anything, but it is an individual identity jiske basis pe aap ye social discrimination कहते हो. The exclusion can lead to disparities in areas such as education, employment and healthcare. तो ये जो डिफरेंस हम क्रिएट करते हैं, ये सेग्रीगेशन जो हम करते हैं, इट कैन अफेक्ट एंड हैव एन इफेक्ट ऑन एजुकेशन, ऑन एम्प्लॉयमेंट, ऑन हेल्थ केयर एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ द साइड लाइनिंग, विच मीन्स इफ यू हैव डिसाइडेड, पहले कास्ट बैरियर था, राइट. हाय प्रतीक, गुड इवनिंग, वेलकम टू द सेशन. सो देयर यूज्ड टू एग्जिस्ट अ कास्ट बैरियर अर्लियर वेयर सर्टेन कास्ट वर referred to as untouchables or the lower castes. So you see, in terms of education, they were not allowed to be educated with everybody else, as a result of which they started getting poor. Okay, they were denied the health care in places where high caste people were being treated. तो ये सब हम क्या कर रहे हैं? We are removing them from the center, we are removing them from the society, we are discriminating against them, we are marginalizing them. ठीक है? Who are these marginalized groups of societies? अगर हम बात करें that who are these groups who have in usual हिस्टोरिकली बीन साइडलाइन, अगर आप जाकर के हिस्ट्री में देखते हो तो वो कौन कौन से लोग हैं जिनको हमने यूजुअली बाहर कर दिया है, सोसाइटी से बाहर कर दिया है, नहीं एंटर करने दिया है, एक हिस्सा नहीं बनने दिया है. सो इट हैज़ बीन विमेन. विमेन वर नॉट गिवन द राइट्स टू वोट टिल द लॉन्गेस्ट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. दे वर नॉट लेट टू गेट एडुकेटेड. दे वर नॉट गिवन द फ्रीडम, इक्वल ट्रीटमेंट. दे हैव बीन ट्रीटेड एज एन इन्फीरियर जेंडर. तो ये सब क्या है? What is this? This is basically stereotyping, creating a mindset where you have decided that this is how they are and this is how they should be treated, and not treating them as an equal and pushing them to the corners of the society, not letting them be in the center and enjoy all the opportunities and equality. People with disabilities, जो लोग डिसेबल हैं उनको कई समय तक पागल, अपाहिज, ऐसी चीज़ें बोल करके हमने एक मेन स्ट्रीम का हिस्सा नहीं बनाया है, अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ नहीं दी हैं. ठीक है, पीपल हु आर ओल्ड, द शेड्यूल्ड कास्ट, द शेड्यूल्ड ट्राइब्स, सर्टन रिलीजन्स, ठीक है, मुस्लिम्स एंड आदिवासीज आर टू हाईली मार्जिनलाइज्ड ग्रुप्स इन द कंट्री. ट्राइबल्स बच्चे आर बेसिकली आदिवासीज. ठीक है, आदिवासी translates to original inhabitants, which means how humans started initially, who were the original inhabitants of a particular place. So when you're saying original inhabitants, how did we started living? We're a part of a civilization now, right? We stay in these concrete settlements now, but was it always like that? No, it was not always like that. हमेशा से तो ऐसा नहीं होता था. ठीक है, कुशाग्र मैं आपसे गुस्सा क्यों होंगी बच्चे? Why would I be angry with you? You tell me. ठीक है, मैं अपने किसी भी बच्चे से कभी गुस्सा नहीं होती हूँ, मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कभी नहीं होती हूँ. तो मुझे परेशान करोगे तो डांट तो पड़ेगी. पर या कमिंग बैक, so original Adivasis, a lot of times you will find basically the tribal people, the original inhabitants, who would have a very strong connection with the nature. Their culture, the practices that they would have a very strong association with the nature, and that is how they would move forward. Now, usually these people used to prefer staying in forests and jungles and not be a part of the developed settlements as such, because as I told you, they have very close ties with the nature. That's their tradition, that is their culture, that is the set of belief. वो कैसे function करते हैं is basically कि भैया नेचर से बहुत जुड़े होते हैं, तो नेचर में रहना पसंद भी करते हैं. तो जंगलों में ज़्यादा, जंगलों के पास इंस्टेड ऑफ अ वेल बिग डेवलप्ड अर्बन एरिया यू विल फाइंड देम. तो अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स देयर आल्सो फॉरेस्ट dwellers, जिनमें वनवासी भी कहते हैं. ठीक है, so these are communities with a strong historical connection to the forest. They have traditionally lived in close association with the forest environment, and that is why we are also referring to them as the original inhabitants. ठीक है, original inhabitants का मतलब समझ आ गया बच्चे? J Blessy, were you able to understand? Original inhabitant means, original means one, the first of its kind, the first which started everything. Inhabitant, the person who stays somewhere. So humans, when started existing, everyone used to stay in jungles only. That is how we have survived. Now we have evolved and become a part of civilization. But all of us at one point, humans at one point, have only stayed close to the nature, along with the nature, hunting, gathering, staying there. So Adivasis pretty much are still carrying forward, maybe not in today's date absolutely, but till the longest period of time carried forward the same system, the same path to life. That is how they lived. That is how their culture and tradition remained. That is why we are calling them original inhabitants. About 8% of India's population, you guys, and 8% is not a small number. Take it, 8% alone is Adivasis. Many industrial and mining centers in India are located in their regions. So if you talk about the regions particularly, I'll tell you which places you'll find more of them. Jharkhand, Orissa, Chhattisgarh, these are predominantly a lot of Adivasi dominated regions. Okay, these are the places where a lot of jungle has existed, a lot of forest has existed, and hence have supported the lives of the Adivasis, and they are found there. Northeastern region, again, very, very dense forest. So you'll find a lot of them at different tribes over there. So Jamshedpur, Raurkela, okay, तो झारखंड, उड़ीसा, झारखंड, ठीक है, छत्तीसगढ़, MP, ये सब areas में there are over 500 distinct Adivasi groups in India. So the various kind of groups, ठीक है, different region में अलग अलग तरह के अलग अलग आदिवासी ग्रुप्स आपको मिलेंगे. सिग्निफिकेंट पॉपुलेशन की बात की जाए तो एज आई टोल्ड यू, छत्तीसगढ़, झारखंड, मध्य प्रदेश, उड़ीसा, गुजरात में भी, महाराष्ट्र, राजस्थान, आंध्र प्रदेश, वेस्ट बंगाल, and all the northeastern states, all of these places where there existed or has existed or still exists big huge jungles, you'll find them present. So let's quickly answer this question. Adivasis, the term means original inhabitants, migrants, a dance form, or European language. What does this term Adivasi mean? Blessy has answered absolutely correct. Dhanush and Tanmay waiting for you guys to answer. Bache, Adivasi basically refers to what? Original inhabitants, right? So I see we have got the answer from Dhanush and Tanmay also. Perfect timing, good job. Very good. Okay? So 8% of India's population is Adivasis. Okay. Now these communities are not homogeneous. They consist of various groups. So as I told you, it's not like one group of Adivasis are there and all of them are same, they have same practices, same traditions, same beliefs. No. There are people who are close to the forest, their culture is derived from there, very strongly associated with the forest. Them we call Adivasis. But even within those 8% of Adivasis, you'll find a lot of variation. They're not homogeneous, they're not all the same. There are different groups who are different, who have certain different beliefs. Okay, they typically lack strict hierarchies, unlike communities organized around caste or ruled by kings. So normally in our society, what do we have? We have an order of existence. There is a king or there is a ruler, then there are soldiers, then there are citizens, then there are slaves. That's how humans have usually existed. They have had a proper hierarchy. They have had ranks in order in which they have existed in the social society. Society में हम हमेशा एक सर्टेन रैंक बनाकर चलते आए है ना, हायरार्की बनाकर चलते आए कि सबसे ऊपर कौन आएगा, उसके नीचे कौन आएगा, हु विल बी एट द टॉप, हु विल बी द रूलर, हु विल कम नेक्स्ट टू दैट, हु विल कम नेक्स्ट टू दैट, सबसे बॉटम में कौन आएगा. वी हैव क्रिएटेड दैट, बट आदिवासीज डोंट रियली हैव सच अ सिस्टम विद इन देमसेल्फ वेयर दे हैव सच स्ट्रॉन्ग हायरार्कीज एंड रैंकिंग. इट हैज़ बीन मोर लीनियंट विद देम. ठीक है, वो थोड़ा सा मतलब यहाँ पे स्ट्रिक्ट नहीं रहे, लीनियंट रहे, कोई वैसा प्रोसेस पर्टिकुलरली फॉलो नहीं करते रहे हैं. इफ़ यू टॉक अबाउट द रिचुअल्स दैट दे फॉलो, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ सिस्टम्स एंड बिलीव्स दैट दे हैव, they follow tribal religions distinct of Islam, Hinduism, Christianity. So they're not usually associated with any of these. However, recently, if I talk about Jharkhand, I am from Jharkhand. Recently, we have seen that a lot of Adivasis have started converting into Christianity to have a certain identity which they feel was not given to them because of being an Adivasi, which is also sad, or to escape from certain issues that comes to them as being a tribal. But in general, they do not associate with any of the religions. If there is an Adivasi, truly an Adivasi, if you want to understand their religion and their background and their belief as such, who do they worship, they wouldn't resonate with any of these religions. They would have their own set of beliefs. where they will worship the village spirit, their ancestors' spirit, the jungle, the nature. So what they believe as godlike or superpower would be the nature, sun, earth, air, ठीक है, हार्वेस्ट, फॉरेस्ट, प्लांट्स, एनिमल्स, देयर एंसेस्टर्स, इन सारे चीज़ों में वो बिलीव करते हैं, उनको ही वर्शिप करते हैं विथ वेरियस लैंडस्केप साइट्स जैसे कि माउंटेन्स, रिवर्स, एनिमल्स. Specific spirits are worshipped in sacred groves within the village, and ancestral spirits are worshipped at home. So they don't just like how usually other religions would have mosques and temples and churches and gurudwaras. They don't have any one dedicated place like that. Two kind of worship they do, one at home and one out in the open. When they go out in the open, they are worshipping the sacred groves, the trees that they take as a symbol of the nature, as the blessing of the nature that that humans have within the village, and their ancestors, their previous generation, their leaders, other people who have existed in their families, them also they worship, and that they do at home. So out in the open it is the nature, and back at home the worship is of their ancestors, their previous generations. Okay? Their religion have been influenced by surrounding religions such as Shakta, Buddhist, Vaishnav, Bhakti, Christianity. So as I told you that they are not really bounded to any religion like Islam, Hinduism or Christianity per se, but what they have witnessed around themselves. अपने आसपास उन्होंने ऐसा बहुत कुछ देखा है, उसका थोड़ा असर उन पे आया है. तो जैसे थोड़ा सा बुद्धिज्म से यू विल फाइंड few people inspired, few people you will find inspired by Vaishnavikta, few people you will find inspired by Christianity. So some influences of various religions and practices has rubbed off on them, but their primary belief is still about worshipping the nature and the natural spirits and the ancestral spirits. A significant number of Adivasis converted to Christianity during 19th century, which is now a crucial religion in the modern Adivasi history, which I was also telling you guys a while back, that recently because they have been so traumatized by the kind of treatment that was given to them, or they were just fed up, or they were just in general influenced and found it as a better part of their life. So modern Adivasi history, if you see, a lot of them are now converted or follow Christianity. If you talk about the language, again, every different group has their own language. ये सारे distinct languages बोलते हैं, इन सबके अपनी अपनी languages है, ठीक है, distinct from and possibly as old as Sanskrit. So if you talk about their language, it's not something new that has come up or lately that has come up. All of these are different from each other, these different groups, what they speak, and it goes back to that era where it has started from, where Sanskrit started from, which means one of the oldest languages. Santhali जैसे is one of the most spoken Adivasi languages. It has substantial body of publications including magazines available on internet and the e-zines. So Santhali is the language that you'll find a lot of them, a majority of them speaking. For example, in India, a lot of people speak Hindi. We wouldn't say majority, more than 50%. But if you talk about one language which is widely spoken as Hindi, a huge chunk of Indians speak that, right? So similarly, huge chunk of Adivasis do communicate in Santhali, and that is why we find a lot of literary material, a lot of published things in the same language. You'll find magazines, you'll find other things existing on the internet in this language as well. Okay? So on that note, let's quickly have another quiz question. Dash is one of the most commonly spoken Adivasi languages. Santhali, English, Urdu, हिंदी, इनमें से कौन सा लैंग्वेज जो है आदिवासीज़ के द्वारा बहुत ज़्यादा कॉमनली बोला जाता है, सबसे ज़्यादा बोला जाता है और सबसे कॉमन पाया जाता है? Which of the following languages is the most spoken in Adivasi languages, where we find certain publications also? We'll find magazines, we'll find something printed on the internet. Dhanush and Tanmay have answered absolutely correct. Blessy, what happened? Are you not answering? Santali is the correct answer, you guys. That is the language. Now, talking about the Adivasis and their stereotyping. Okay. Now, if you ask me, ma'am, what do you mean by stereotyping? So, stereotyping is basically creating a certain kind of biasness, prejudice, presumption about somebody. For example, people stereotype females by, used to at least till some time back, uh, stereotyping would exist which would say, let's say, women don't go out to work. Okay? Oh, Blessy, can you just try and refresh it? Maybe nahi ho paya hoga. Okay? Priyan Raj, hi, Christian. So as I was telling you that there was this biasness that people had, right? That females should not be educated because they have to get married and go to other family. Or they are weaker in terms of strength, are not as strong as men. What is this? There's no proof to it. It's just a idea that we have formed. It's just an opinion that we have formed, and whenever we look at somebody, that's what we'll think. Or maybe there are certain castes, jinke around we create certain opinions and we stereotype that, oh, these are bad people, okay? They are the lower caste, they don't have a class, which is wrong. That's stereotyping, that's just creating something. Similar thing has been done with Adivasis also. And not just today, even during the colonial period, even before that, the way we have treated them, it has been because they have been so strongly associated with the nature. वो nature से इतने जुड़े हुए हैं, we have just started believing that they are uncivilized. There was a point where they were taken as uncivilized, threat to the lives, very close to animals. Why? Because they have been staying in the forest, which may not entirely be true. Maybe there were few people, but the same thing happens, animal kind of behavior is seen even in the people staying in town, right? They don't behave in a civilized way. It has got nothing to do with the fact that they are Adivasis or that they stay in the jungle, and that is what is stereotyping, just creating an opinion about something based on their individual identity. So Adivasis are often stereotypical portrayed through colorful costumes, headgears, dances. So you'll see that they are kind of shown as original inhabitants only. थोड़ा primitive दिखाया जाता है. The way we see them, we don't see them as developed. Just because they are closer to the nature, you'll feel that they are kind of primitive in nature. They are old only. They believe in older standards only. Their practices and culture is very primitive in characteristic, which is so wrong. This stereotyping contributes to misconceptions about their lives, making people believe that they are exotic, primitive, and backward. That is very, very important. Just because they have a certain culture, and that too they don't exactly follow the same things in today's date, the way they are depicted, it just creates an image in your head that, acha, they stay in jungle, they must be illiterate, they must be very animal-like, they must be very backward, they must not be developed, they must not have senses. All of these things comes to your mind. And what is this? It has no proof. It is just a set of belief that we start creating around ourselves in our head regarding them. Forests covered a very significant portion of India till 19th century. In class 9th, in fact, you will even read a chapter called Forest Society and Colonialism. So you'll see that till the point Britishers came in, it was that more than 2/3 of, not 2/3 actually, but a huge chunk of India's land was covered under forest. Okay. Adivasis had a very deep knowledge of all of these forests. They knew which plant was medicinal, which plant will have what benefits, which plant was good and which animal you would find where, what kind of vegetation you'll find where. They had a very, very deep knowledge of all of these forested areas. Even in the areas where regular people wouldn't have gone, people who are not Adivasis basically, I mean, who do not live in the forest, the Adivasis would know that, okay, over there, if you go from here to here, this is what you will find. They would know a lot of secrets of the nature because they were so closely associated with the nature. And large empires often relied on Adivasis for essential access to forest resources. So because they were so well aware of, the forest, it's like I stay in Bangalore. So I know Bangalore very well. When you need something, I know where to go, where to take you, where to buy it from. Similarly, because Adivasis lived in the village, they were in the forest. They were so well aware, and their life was so close to the nature, and they were so dependent on the nature. They were well aware of where you'll find what tree, what river, what mountain, what rock, what soil. So a lot of empires, a lot of kingdoms have been dependent on them to find the forest products, to have those forest supplies, which otherwise nobody else could help them with. Then how did we started marginalizing them, pushing them from the mainstream, taking them away from the rest of the society? So they were initially, guys, originally if you think about, they were hunter-gatherers, nomads practicing shifting agriculture and settled cultivation. So basically, because they have been so closely associated with the nature, their life and their settlement has been influenced by the nature only. They would usually have a lot of cattles. ठीक है, कई बार इन लोगों के पास क्या होता है, इनकी ज़िंदगी कैसे चलती है, they are pastoralists in a way. So they would breed a lot of cattles, and whenever the season would change, they would move from one place to another and would not settle in one place in order to find the trees and leaves for their cattle throughout the year. So for example, if it's very hot in one region and the trees are drying over there, they'll move to another region where you can find the plants. Or if it's very cold in this area and everything is covered by snow, then they'll move to another area where the trees can be found, and will come back again when it's summer here and the leaves are available. In short, whenever the food is available for the animals. Or they would practice shifting cultivation, which means they would be completely dependent on the forest for their survival. Forest से जो भी product मिलता था, for example, different kind of medicines and leaves and wood, they will procure that fruits and vegetables, sell that and earn their livelihood, earn the money and survive from that. Or in order to grow, they wouldn't go and buy, hi Aryan Yadav, welcome to the session. They wouldn't go and buy grains as such, जाके चावल दाल नहीं खरीदेंगे. What will they do? They will clear a patch of the jungle, burn whatever wood is remaining there, sow seeds and cultivate with all natural means, dependent on rain for water, natural fertility of soil, everything naturally with no extra money. They'll just cultivate, and whatever they'll grow, they'll use to eat it for themselves. अपने लिए खुद ही खाएंगे, परिवार मिल करके वहाँ पे cultivation करेगा. These kind of things they used to do. ठीक है? This kind of cultivation is known as shifting cultivation. So basically, what happens? You clear a patch of land, you do cultivation on it for like 4-5 years. Then the land will start getting infertile because you're not adding any additional biochemical into it. So you'll abandon that piece of land for next 15-18 years so that the jungle can grow back there, and you will go and clear another patch of jungle and grow the crops there and eat it. So these are the kind of things that they have been doing. But in the past 200 years, what we have seen is that they have been forced. Okay, Adivasis had been increasingly forced through economic changes, forest policies, and state and private industry pressures to abandon their traditional ways and work as laborers on plantations, construction sites, and in industries. Because they have been taken that, okay, they are not very educated, what will they work, they will not do it, let's force them and bring them as labor, especially during the colonial period. They were forced out of the jungle. Their whole identity was related to the jungle. Their whole tradition was related to the jungle. But jungles were reserved for producing wood for trading purposes by the colonists. And even after they left, even in independent India, they have experienced by multiple governments such kind of problems. So what is happening? Their identity, their tradition is being snatched away from them. उनसे वो छीन लिया जा रहा है, उनको force किया जा रहा है कि नहीं, why will you stay in jungle? Why will you do production of this in the jungle? Why will you take forest products and do trading in it? No, you will not do any of this. What will you do? You will come and work with me in the plantation. You will work with me as a laborer. You do something. Plus the way things are changing, they need more money to survive. So that also forces them to work and not just be dependent on the jungle. ऐसे ज़िंदगी बदल रही है, पैसे ज़्यादा चाहिए होते हैं कि उनको खुद बेचारों को काम करना पड़ता है कि जंगल से जो सामान मिल रहा है उससे सारा पेट नहीं भर रहा है. ठीक है, this marked the first time in their history that they lost direct control and access to forest territories, because forests, especially because of, in the name of reservation, in the name of settlement, taken away from them. Okay. So Adivasis are exotic, primitive, backward. Is this true or is this false? क्या ये statement true है या ये statement false है, ये बताना है आपको मुझे. काफ़ी simple है ये. So let me know, guys, Adivasis are exotic, primitive and backward. Is this true or is this false? Dhanush has answered, Blessy has answered, Tanmay has answered, and the statement is false. ये बिल्कुल गलत है. That is the stereotyping that we have done. यही तो stereotyping है जो हमने कर दिया और वहाँ पे गड़बड़ कर दी है. ठीक है. अब ऐसा है कि सिर्फ इतना ही नहीं कि हमने, it's not just that we have only moved them from the forest which was their primary residential settlement, जहाँ वो जंगलों में रहते थे वहाँ से ही निकाल दिया, बस इतना ही नहीं किया है हमने. उसके ऊपर उनकी ज़मीनें भी इंक्रोच कर ली. वी हैव इवन टेकन द लैंड्स अवे फ्रॉम देम because they have been existing indigenously in so many places, especially the places where jungles are there. वो इतने वक्त से वहाँ रह रहे हैं कि वहाँ का बहुत सारा हिस्सा उनको बिलोंग करता है. But because we need the land for development and we feel they don't deserve it, what will they do with it? We have even snatched away what belongs to them, right? So from 1830s, large number of Adivasis from Jharkhand and neighboring regions migrated to various plantations in India and overseas, including Mauritius, Caribbean and Australia. Powerful forces cleared the forest lands for timber, agriculture and industry, taking over Adivasi lands rich in minerals and natural resources. So where they stayed in jungles, we have cleared those jungles and formed settlements over there. But the land belonged to them, the jungles belonged to them. That is where they stayed. We have pushed them only out. उनको ही उनके घर से निकाल के उनके घर पे हमने कब्जा कर लिया. Why did we clear the jungle? We wanted to build agricultural land. We wanted to build industry. We wanted to build houses. हमको ज़मीन चाहिए थी. हमने जंगल साफ किया. उनको वहाँ से निकाला और अब वो ज़मीन खुद ले ली. Where will these people stay now? How will they survive now? What will be their tradition? We force them to work as laborers for us. हमारे लिए laborers की तरह काम करने को मजबूर कर दिया इनको. Official figures indicate that over 50% of persons displaced due to mining projects are tribals. So whenever you look at the data, you look at the studies, we see that out of all the people who had to move because of mining activities, 50% of them have actually been the Adivasis, right? Very recent survey shows that 79% of the people who have been moved from Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Jharkhand, which are the Adivasi dominated areas, have been Adivasis only. Many Adivasi lands were submerged by construction of dams because they were not cared enough for. They were not given any compensation. उनको बदले में कुछ नहीं दिया गया. वहाँ पे डैम बनाया गया, ज़मीन वहाँ पे डूब गई पानी में, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा लोगों को. उनकी ट्रबल चल रही है. Their land in the northeast remain highly militarized. So a lot of land has been taken under the name of security or for whatever reason, boundary creation. आज भी उस पर military बैठी हुई है. ठीक है, उनके पास अपना हक जमाने के लिए वो ज़मीन नहीं रह गई है. They have lost it to various causes. Then national parks and wildlife sanctuaries have been created. So wherever that has been created, now you cannot stay here because it's a reserved piece of land. So they had to move from there also. ठीक है, and those who continue to live in these areas are being labeled as encroachers. People who are staying where they have stayed, which now others have declared as something else, they are only known as encroachers. कि तुम ज़बरदस्ती यहाँ पे जो है settlement कर रहे हो, this doesn't belong to you. Displacement led to poverty and deprivation. See, when they survived and lived in a particular place, they were doing well, they had money, they had means to survive. But then they had to leave everything, or everything was snatched away from them and they had to move. Even if you have to keep on moving like this by leaving everything behind, at one point economically you will have nothing and you'll only be poor. You'll be deprived, you wouldn't have money, you will be malnourished. And that is why you see that a lot of Adivasis are below the poverty line, are extremely, extremely poor. Because of the constant movement, their income has also declined because they don't have a proper source of income. They don't work in one place. They are not dependent. They can't even have a business. पहले क्या था? Forest they would get the products, trade it. It could be different animal materials, different plant materials, and they would earn from there. But now when that is not happening, they have lost their tradition, custom, way of life, how they survived, their business, their work line, and have not got the new jobs. Even if they have got the new jobs as laborers, it's not paying enough. It has just made their lives very, very difficult. So we see a connectedness, a connection that exists between the economic and social dimensions of tribal life. Now we are able to understand that what their social identity is, how it has affected their economical existence in today. where dispossession and displacement can result in pain and violence. So guys, with this, we have finished today's session. What we have read is marginalization means being pushed to sidelines or being excluded from the center. In a social setting, it happens when certain groups are removed from the others and not, integrated. Adivasis are also known as original inhabitants and are connected to forest originally. The presence of over 500 Adivasis groups are there in India. Traditional lack of hierarchy has been there in their community. Their ritual and practices include ancestor and nature spirit worship. They don't follow a particular religion. However, recently we have seen in modern history of Adivasis, a lot of them have converted to Christianity and follow that, right? Neil Srivastav, hi bache, good evening. The influence of surrounding religions on Adivasi beliefs have been very strong. Existence of unique Adivasi language such as Santhali has been there. We have been constantly stereotyping them as primitive, old, backward, exotic, and their historical control over the forests in India and other places also have been taken away. They have been forced out of there. Marginalization during colonial rule led to their displacement because the Forest Act stopped them from entering into the forest, which was their home. अपने घरों में घुसना बंद कर दिया. Encroachment on Adivasi lands for mining and industry and development has been done, but they are known as encroachers. Their displacement resulted in poverty and loss of their own traditions and identity. Now, our need for natural resources for development forced the Adivasis to live the life they did not deserve, they did not like, they were forced to, right? There are other groups in India as well which are facing similar issues of being sidelined and not considered. Okay, who are they? What is happening to them? We will find out in the next session. So please make sure that you are registered for the next session. Go on the Embibe app or go on the Embibe website. और आने वाले sessions के लिए just register yourself so that you do not miss on this. Then we'll understand who are the other marginalized minority communities. And do not forget to join the Telegram channel, you guys. ये हमारा link है और ये हमारा QR code है. ठीक है? So with this, we have finished the session today. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you guys soon. Make sure you're registered for the session. I'll see you in the next session. Till then, take good care of yourselves. Hasta la vista. Bye-bye. Good night. Until the next time, guys, stay tuned and keep imbibing.
Keep imbibing. We believe in you.